Hi, everyone. Angela Sanzali here, and I'm so excited you're here today because we're diving into something truly unique, something that might just shift the way you think about your mind, your energy, and your performance. And if you're like most people in my world, business owners, leaders, wellness seekers, high performance chasers, you've probably read the books, tried the mindset hacks, maybe even meditated and journaled your heart out, but you're still wondering, why do I feel stuck? Why am I not seeing the shift I want? And that's exactly why today I am joined by Morry Zelcovitch, the creator of Mind Trainer Pro, a groundbreaking tool that uses something called brain entrainment to help you tap into the most powerful tool you already have, your brain. So stick around. This could be the missing piece you've been searching for. So let's dive in. Morry, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Angela. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today.
So, Morry, I would love for you to share with our viewers, why did you create Mind Trainer Pro? What's happening in your life that you made the shift? If you could just give us just a little background on that.
Sure. Well, the Reader's Digest abridged version reads like this. I spent the first 40 years of my life wanting to be dead. Deep, dark depression, hatred of everything and anything. And I used to walk around, cross my fingers, and think to myself nonstop, life is a disease for which there is no cure but death. I tried to end my life 6 times. It took me that many times to realize that if it's taken me that many times, I probably don't really want to die. So when I couldn't find a way to die, I had to find a way to live. And that's what started me on my research journey, which eventually led me down the road to something called brainwave entrainment, which should have worked, but didn't. So I reinvented the wheel. And when I did, it did work. And it took me out of my depression, and it's been helping tens of thousands of people ever since.
Well, Morry, I thank you for being so honest about your journey and your story. And I think that many people can relate to that, whether they openly share that information or not. And I'm glad that you weren't successful because you've brought an amazing tool to us. And so many people feel like they don't have options. A lot of people in my community have tried meditation, mindset work, personal development programs, and have maybe had some level of success with them, maybe not. But what makes your tool different, or where does it pick up from those types of opportunities?
So here's the thing. I realize my story is one of pain and anguish. And it's not necessary that you went through these kinds of feelings to gain benefits from what I do. The Mind Trainer Pro series is all about peak performance. It's all about doing better. It's all about thinking better. It's all about being smarter. The whole thing is, I'm very lazy, or at least I used to think I was lazy. Now, with all the recordings and systems I create, I guess I'm not anymore. But I am relatively lazy. I just wanted to lie down and have magic happen. So when I was studying the brain in neurobiology, neurophysics, quantum chemistry, all these different disciplines, I made some connections that allowed me to create systems using vibration, things like sound, things like vision, that actually automatically have their effect. So literally, you put on a pair of headphones, you lay back, or you sit with head support, you close your eyes. If you fall asleep, it makes no difference at all. Everything happens automatically. So there's no effort. So the biggest differentiators would be there's no effort, there's nothing to learn, there's nothing to study, there's nothing to judge. You don't have to go like when I was trying to meditate, I would always think, oh my God, what am I doing here? Is this working? Am I supposed to feel like this? Am I feeling anything? So the biggest differentiator is you don't have to do anything except for sit down or lie back and hit play. That's really it.
And how does the brain entrainment actually work? Or, sort of in layman's terms, what can a user expect and how does it actually work in our brains?
Sure. So I can understand how this would seem a little woo-woo to some people.
Yeah.
But imagine you're listening to a song that you like or a band that you enjoy, and you're just kind of bopping your head and you're tapping your toes. You're not thinking about it, you're just doing it. That, believe it or not, is a form of entrainment. It is your body, it is your mind starting to follow the pulse beat of the drums, of the bass line, of whatever the music is doing. What we do is we focus in and zone in on the neurons, your brain cells. And your brain cells react the same way. So when they're exposed to a frequency, bum, 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 and it's a pure frequency and it's designed a specific way, then the neurons just want to do a monkey see, monkey do. They just want to follow. And when they start following that frequency, depending on the location of the brain and how many times the neuron is literally pulsing. Now, a neuron doesn't pulse like a heart, but it pulses more like flicking on and off a light switch.
Mhm.
And the amount of times that happens per second and the location of the brain dictates the kind of chemistry that is produced by that neuron. Things like neurotransmitters, endorphins, and hormones. And it's the combination of that chemistry that creates your ability to feel anything or experience anything. So if you're happy, you're sad, you're upset, you're angry, you're excited, you're turned on, you're turned off. None of those things happen without your brain creating chemistry. What we do with brainwave entrainment is we kind of dictate the kind of chemistry that you're going to get when you listen to these recordings. It helps to optimize your brain, your thought processes, and how you experience these things, because that has a lot to do with how you experience your life, how successful you are with your work, how happy you are in your life.
Is it fair to say that when you know, let me back up for a second. So I know that even myself, I've tried, supplementation for with nootropics. I've tried a lot of these things to sort of get the brain going and work at its optimal thing. And I think that there is definitely, it does work, but it doesn't work for everyone. And I think there's also a level, in my experience, that you sort of like level out, and you're like, I got there, but I didn't get all the way there. And so this type of entrainment is this for everyone? Is it are there any limits? What kind of transformations have you seen? Like how have you seen it affecting people? So that's a three-part question. So is
So
can
give me each
everyone
part
use
one at a
it?
time and we'll go for it. So, yeah, anyone can use it. If you have a brain, you're good to go. That's it. I
Perfect.
have clients who can't even hear and they claim to get benefits because it's about vibration. We don't really hear anything. Everyone thinks they're hearing my voice right now, but if we could put an SD card in the, say, the left ear, and your left ear had the ability to write what you're hearing, and then play that recording back, everybody would be hearing my voice slightly differently. That's because of how the brain interprets the vibration. If you put your hand on your neck and you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you feel vibration. That's really what sound is. Sound is the perception of that vibration translated into an effect by the brain. So it's not really about your perception of hearing the sound that creates the benefit. It is the vibration that creates the benefit. And that's why it helps. Everybody has a brain. And unless there's certain anomalies in the brain, medical anomalies, then anyone is reactive to this. I mean, like I said, you go to a bar, you go to a concert, you see people bop into the music. They're just doing it. They're not trying to do it. They're not thinking of it. It's almost like autonomic. It's almost like they're breathing. People don't
Mm,
think about breathing. If they did, we'd all suffocate because we'd forget. So
yeah.
it just takes advantage of natural processes to allow you to get into these natural states because it's not supernatural. It's natural states. Stress, anxiety, taxes, governments, military operations, all these things scare us and keep us on a high alert. Brainwave entrainment helps to bring us back to a normal state. And that normal state is where we're meant to exist.
It's
So
this.
the second part of that question,
So the second part of the question was, what have you seen or have folks be experienced with it? Now, we're not, we cannot, nor would we make any kind of medical claims, anything like that. But what are the experiences that people have shared with you using your system?
Well, we actually have doctors prescribing it for certain types of dementia, Alzheimer's disease, things like that. Dr. Dale Bredesen, who wrote The End of Alzheimer's, wrote about it in his book a few times as well, The End of Alzheimer's. But things like self-confidence, motivation, anything to do with desire. You see, the systems are specifically designed for peak performance. So there's some general frequencies that are related in the research to people who are peak performers. But it's like a farmer. So we till the soil, we aerate the soil, we fertilize the soil. Unless we plant really good seeds, nothing's going to grow. Doesn't matter what we do to the soil. So the entrainment kind of act, the bob, 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 bob part kind of acts like the farmer tilling and aerating and fertilizing. And then the spoken word aspects and some of the other recordings that come with the packages actually laser focus you in on what you want to accomplish. Things like sales acumen or business acumen, or, we are adding all the time different systems and different techniques to get into different states to allow people to excel. Because that's the natural state. The natural state is to excel.
Mm.
Happiness feels good for a reason. Sadness feels bad for a reason. And they're both positive. One is telling you you're doing and thinking the right thing. One is telling you you're doing and thinking the wrong thing. Using Mind Trainer Pro and its associated recordings helps you to achieve that feeling good, that feeling happy state more often because you're more in tune with what is working for you and you're more able to take action to fulfill that need and that desire that you have.
So that's this science is fascinating, and I've been using the system now for a little over 2 weeks, and myself am experiencing um, better sleep. I'm experiencing just a sense of, I have one of those monkey brains. It's always going and jetting off in a whole bunch of directions, even when I'm trying to work. And so I've found that when I use different aspects of it, because I can't meditate. I'm not, I can't get into that state. But I've found, when I'm using the system and I'm sitting and I find myself completely relaxed. And then, depending on what I choose to do after that, I can get focused and get going. I feel a little bit more energy. I just started using it, so I'm super excited about what might come. But you mentioned that we were talking about high performers and you want to be at your peak. And I think that a lot of my viewers are managers, business owners, and I'm wondering your thoughts on the practical application of like how this could transform their impact on leadership, on decision making, team dynamics.
Well, your brain is the central processing unit of your life, and it's really the most important part of my system.
Mm.
So whatever you need is kind of what you get. Yes, we laser focus you in on specific topics and specific needs and desires that you may have, but your brain is still the ultimate arbiter, and it's going to decide what you need. We get a lot of testimonials from a lot of different people using the exact same products, and the testimonials look like they're from outer space. They have nothing, one testimonial doesn't look like another one because it's your brain that ultimately chooses the direction that you need to go in. As long as you trust
Oh,
yourself, as long as you realize, most people who are entrepreneurs, most people who run their own businesses, they're managers, they're, VPs, they're presidents, CEOs, these people already have a direction they've chosen and they have a certain amount of success, which is why they've attained these positions in the first place. But there is no ceiling. There is no height you can't get to. We're only limited by our beliefs, and brainwave entrainment, when it's properly engineered, allows us to realize that there is no limit. When we stop, you know, holding ourselves back Like this is the limit. This is this glass ceiling, they used to call it. When you realize that there really is no limit, then you can achieve pretty much anything. The idea here is that if you can conceive of a thought, it's not a dream, it's not a fantasy, it's because it's possible.
Mm.
It may even already exist in some fashion. It's simply a matter of you identifying it and adapting it for your life. Brainwave entrainment has allowed me, for instance, to be able to do that, to be able to realize there is nothing that's impossible. And if I think of it, it's because it's possible. Doesn't mean I have an answer for it immediately, but it does mean that that seed is planted. And I'm like a farmer. So if I'm a farmer and I aerate the soil, I make it all nice and I plant corn, I don't pour gasoline on my field tomorrow because I don't have 8 foot stalks. I understand the process. I have to water it. The seed has to gestate. It has to grow some roots. Then it starts growing up. Eventually it breaks the surface and then it becomes corn, after a time. The brainwave entrainment allowed me to realize that, to be patient and to see and be happy for the little steps forward, because there's an old proverb that says something to the effect of every trip of 1,000,000 miles begins with but one step, and every single step along the way is just as important as the last one. And for me, brainwave entrainment gave me patience. It gave me wisdom. It gave me the ability to think clearly and not to pressure myself. And now I'm in a position where I have connections with people like yourself, who I wouldn't have been able to have connections with even 3 years ago. And now everything is different because of using the brainwave entrainment has allowed my brain to kind of calm down and serve me, as opposed to be hyper excited all the time and hurt me because, oh, I have no patience. Time's running out. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I mean, that was my life.
Mm.
And now that isn't my life. And what has changed? Well, the universe hasn't changed, but my view of the universe has changed. How I understand reality, quote unquote, because reality is different for every single person. I now believe we all exist in our own little universe. And that's why some people are homeless and suffering, and other people live in mansions. And yet it's the same planet. How do you explain that? Well, as a scientist, you explain it by quantum physics, which says that nothing exists until you observe it. So if you and I both look at something and you look at it as beautiful and I look at it as grotesque, I'm literally creating the grotesque version of reality. You're creating the beautiful version of reality. And brainwave entrainment, because it works so easily, so naturally with natural processes in your brain and in your mind, it allows you to see the beauty. It allows you to gravitate towards the freedom as opposed to being, in a psychological jail, if you will. And it all happens naturally. It's really the best way to explain it is put on a pair of headphones and try it, and you'll see for yourself.
I love that. There is so much in that just this past few minutes that I think resonates deeply with many people on different levels. And the idea of no limits, the idea of how we that we talk a lot about abundance versus scarcity, positivity versus negative, um and sometimes people just they can't look at something and see the good in it, or they can't see the options, or and so the opportunity to do something naturally for our brain to change the way we view things or look at things or experience them, um, is mind blowing. And I love the fact that there's no ceilings and it's not just for one person. Um, you know, Morry, there's so much out there when it comes to wellness, mindset tools, and honestly, I resonate with a lot of them, and I get that.
Sure.
Mind Trainer Pro has a library of programs, which are all amazing, but it can feel a little overwhelming when you first try to decide, how to get started. So for someone, how would they, someone that doesn't specifically like, I want to improve my golf game or I want to improve my pickle game, but they want to take that next step. They want to get themselves to the next level or, whatever. How, where could they start to sort of be, with Mind Trainer Pro? What would you recommend as a good place to start?
So when people exercise, they don't pick up a little weight and then exercise their finger
Mhm.
and sit around and do nothing else with the rest of their body. So Mind Trainer Pro, you're right. It can be kind of overwhelming if you don't see it the way it's designed because there's a lot of recordings. What do I do? What do I start with? Help me, help me.
Yeah.
All designed to be synergistically compatible, which means that everything works together. Just like in nature, everything works together. A rock, a tree, an animal, they're all related, even though they may look separate running through each other. The trick here is to use variety. So pick one, let your intuition draw you to a specific recording. Listen to it. Next day, listen to a different one. Next day, a different one. If you have the all access and you have like, any number, I mean, like the last couple of weeks, we've added 2 new systems already. Just keep adding to the kitty.
Mm.
Just keep taking another apple out of the barrel. Apples are good for you. There used to be a line that said, apple a day keeps the doctor away. Just take a different recording every day. It's like a different apple and just use that. The more you integrate, the more you're exercising everything,
Mm.
not just the finger, not just one aspect of your mind, but all aspects of your mind. You are your own guru. I can only create systems based on my experience. People like Deepak Chopra, Oprah Winfrey, Wayne Dyer, all these experts in the field, Tony Robbins, the biggest problem they have, in my view, well, they don't really have it, but the people who follow them have, is they think if I follow Tony's blueprint, I'm going to be rich and famous like Tony.
Mhm.
The only problem is I'm not as tall as Tony. I didn't have his parents. I didn't have his upbringing. I don't wear his clothes. I didn't go to his school. I don't drive his car. I didn't even have what he had for lunch. We're too different as individuals to be able to follow somebody else's blueprint. The thing about self-help is these people can only create something based on their experience. They can't create something based on your experience because they're not you, they're them. That means that when you deal with them and their issue and their products and their services, it's important to remember that they are not you. Their system, their blueprint isn't for you. Meaning doesn't mean that they can't help you, but it does mean you have to reinterpret, reimagine, recreate these things in your own image before you choose to act on them. That will give you the best chance of success. What my work does is it understands that from the word go. There's no brilliance I'm giving you. There's no patterns I'm giving you. There's no tricks and, there's no hints and here's the clue that everyone needs. Here's the key, the master key to your life. That doesn't work.
Mhm.
But what I do is I help you to optimize your mind and your brain so you end up helping yourself. Because ultimately, again, you are your own guru. So with my work, you don't have to worry about that because it's not designed about telling you what to do. It's designed about helping you to help yourself to figure out what you need to do. And that's why people have such success with it. That's why you're having success with it because it's not about my brilliance. It's about your brilliance.
I love it. I love it. And I think that's a great spot. It's about our brilliance. That's amazing, Morry. Morry,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your time and your talents and your brilliance with this incredible work today. I
Thank
know
you.
so many people are walking away, I hope, with not just an inspiration, but a real hope, that change is possible for them, that growth is possible, and that they can get where it is, that they want to go. So if you're watching, this and something inside of you said, I need this, follow that intuition. And you don't have to figure it all out today, but take the first step and check out Mind Trainer Pro. Whether you're looking to reduce stress, feel better, improve your golf game, deepen your intuition, there's definitely something in the Mind Trainer Pro system for you. Check out the link in the description below. And also, if you join Mind Trainer Pro, Morry offers Mondays with Morry Live, so you get to have ask him questions, and you can take your journey further. So thank you for watching. I hope that you become the next best version of yourself. And Morry, I can't thank you enough personally, and for all those that are about to experience Mind Trainer Pro, for all your hard work. Thank you so much for your time today.
It's absolutely been a pleasure. And I wish you all to be everything you can be, because quite frankly, you already are. You just need to get over that mental hump where you're doubting yourself. And it's not only possible, but it's probable. That's one of the reasons why you're probably here in the first place.